All right, ready to get started?
Yes.
Alrighty. So the device that I have presented in front of you is called a talking calculator. And essentially, a talking calculator is just like your regular standard calculator that a normal sighted person would use in their everyday learning. Only it is geared towards individuals who are blind and visually impaired. What makes the device geared towards people who are blind and visually impaired is that it comes with a specific audio feature that is enabled in the device to essentially tell output data based upon input data. So essentially what that means is whatever you put into the calculator is going to be spoken aloud. So you're going to have a verbal cue or verbal indicator by the voice that is provided on the talking calculator. What comes out back to you, so for example, if we were to put in an equation, 1 + 1 = 2, the number 2 would come back out as your output data. And again, it would be a verbal indicator or verbal cue given by the voice in the talking calculator. Okay. As well as whatever you input is also spoken aloud to you. Okay. So it essentially aids in daily functioning in terms of activities such as personal management. So personal management can include things like finances. It can include personal management in terms of just calculations for academic purposes. And various other things that calculations are needed for or inputting numbers is needed for. It can also be used in work. If you, let's say, are an accountant who is blind or visually impaired, or some sort of computer specialist, or just a wide variety. If you work in business, this could be beneficial. So we have tools that are called instrumental functions of daily living, and they're very separate from basic functionings of daily living. Whereas instrumental is more geared towards daily living activities that can also be implemented in the workplace. And a lot of times consumers are really emphasized daily functions that are instrumental because the ultimate goal is vocational rehabilitation or vocational success, or employment is the lay term for that. So I have a few what are called pre-assessment questions for you to answer, and they're just for me to kind of get a feel for your level of comfortability with working with various mathematical equations as well as devices relating to mathematics prior and during vision loss. Okay. All right, so question number 1 is, have you ever used a calculator before? It can be prior or during vision loss.
Prior,
you have used a calculator before?
yes.
Okay. How comfortable are you with mathematical equations?
100%.
100% comfortable.
Yes.
Okay. Do you enjoy mathematics?
Yes.
You do enjoy mathematics. Do you have any further disability that would make learning, for example, the talking calculator, difficult? So this can be other coexisting disabilities, physical disabilities, such as diabetic neuropathy, which is, it creates a loss of feelings in the fingertips, specifically for a lot of people. Do you have any other illnesses, any other coexisting disabilities, again, primarily physical, that would inhibit you from being able to properly and effectively use this device?
No.
No. Okay. Do you consider yourself an auditory or tactual learner more? So tactual is touch, auditory is through hearing. So between those two, what kind of learner would you say that you consider yourself more?
I would probably say through hearing.
Through hearing? Okay, so tactual. All right. Or I'm sorry, so auditory.
Auditory, okay.
Following up on question 5, when learning a new skill, do you believe you are more easily able to pick up on verbal cues or tactual cues? And I'm going to assume it's verbal cues. Okay. Do you plan to utilize mathematics outside of calculations of everyday living and or academics for any career-related interests or goals that you may have?
No.
No. Okay. How easy or difficult do you feel it is to understand spatial concepts? So for example, spatial refers to where something specific is located within the realm of a very general or vague area.
You said how comfortable?
Yes.
Like on a scale or?
So on a scale of, so let's do a scale. So on a scale of 1 to 10, the 1 being I'm not very comfortable with spatial concepts. I'm not very comfortable with locating where something very specific or detailed is located in a very vague environment when it's presented to me. I'm not very comfortable at all is a 1. I'm very comfortable, no problem with spatial concepts is a 10. Where would you say that you'd fall on that?
I would probably have to say maybe a 4, between a range of a 4 and a 5.
A 4 and a 5? Okay.
Yeah.
And then, are you a learner who is comfortable with touch? So that is, are you comfortable, for example, with hand-over-hand contact or guidance when needed or if necessary in your learning?
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah? Okay. All right. So that is all of the pre-assessment questions that I needed from you.
Okay.
So thank you. So I'm just going to mark a few things here, and then we are going to get started with learning the device.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So the talking calculator is very, very spatial. So it is divided into very general areas of the device that have very specific details in each general area that you are going to need to know for the purpose of accomplishing our objective.
Okay.
Our objective that I'm presenting to you is to be able to, on your own, without verbal assistance or verbal cue from me, turn on the talking calculator, perform mathematical equations, turn the calculator off.
Okay.
Okay? So it sounds pretty simple, and it is, but it's just a matter of essentially grasping those really spatial concepts of the device. And once we grasp those really spatial general concepts of the device, learning the more detailed components of each area. So I'll present to you what that means now. So if you want to feel, so the talking calculator is placed right in front of you. And if you feel, there are 2 rubber bands that are located on the talking calculator. The rubber bands separate 3 specific areas on the talking calculator. Those 3 areas are then divided into what I'll present to you as rows and columns. So
are the rubber bands on here now?
The rubber bands are on there now. Can you feel the rubber bands?
I guess that's what I'm struggling to feel. Can you assist me with where the rubber bands might be located?
So you have currently your middle finger right here that is on a rubber band. So if you can feel there. So it might be helpful to feel above the number pad and the various other buttons on there to kind of feel. You can feel a lot better up above than you can when you have your hands on the actual buttons. Does that make it a little bit easier?
Okay,
you can kind of grip there.
Okay.
And then there's one a little more over to your left.
Okay, so there's one. Okay, I feel them now. Okay,
Okay.
They're more like at the top of the device. I was thinking they were horizontally, but it seems like they're vertically.
They are aligned vertically
Okay.
on the device,
And
so going up and down.
And how many am I feeling?
And you are feeling two rubber bands.
Okay.
That divide the calculator into three sections.
Okay, so. Okay.
And in those 3 sections, you have rows and columns of various buttons.
Okay.
And you will need to utilize all 3 sections divided by the 2 rubber bands.
Okay.
For the purpose of accomplishing the task at hand, which is inputting mathematical equations, receiving output, and turning on and off the device.
Okay.
Okay? So, in the first section of the calculator, so for the purpose of this lesson, we are going to move from left to right.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the first section, starting on your left, you have 4 rows of essentially 3 columns. So, in the first row, moving from left to right, you have the first set of numbers in your number pad. So if you want to move up here, so where you feel that first row there,
Mm-hmm.
so those are 3 numbers moving from left to right, and they are numbers 1, 2, and 3. In the second row, you have numbers 4, 5, and 6. In the third row, you have numbers 7, 8, and 9. And I am going to correct myself because I totally just taught you that backwards.
Okay.
Okay, so it actually is reversed. So on the top row, you have numbers 7, 8, and 9. On the second row, you have numbers 4, 5, and 6. On the last row, you have numbers 1, 2, and 3. And there is a fourth row,
Okay.
and it contains the number 0, the dot, and the equal sign.
So this is the bottom row, and
that is the bottom row.
It's the dot, the
zero, the
0 is here.
Yep, 0, the dot, and then the equal sign.
And then 1 goes here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that is numbers 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And then you go
so
up.
It's in reverse.
4,
Okay.
5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9.
Okay.
And then if it helps, the number 5 actually has what's called a bump dot on it. So if you ever get disoriented,
Right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you ever get disoriented, finding the bump dot, that lets you know, okay, I'm at number 5.
Okay.
So then that should spatially orient you with the remaining numbers that are around it. So if you're on the bump dot, you know that the number left of that is going to be the number 4, because that row goes 4, 5, 6. And then the number on the right of that is the 6. And the row above it is going to go 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Or 7, 8, 9, and the row below it's going to go 1, 2, 3. In the second column, we also have a set of 3 rows. So in the first section of the first column of the calculator, we had a set of 4 rows.
Okay.
In the second section or column, we have a set of 3. And for the purpose of this lesson, you are going to need to only know the second row from the bottom and then the last row. In the second row, you will feel 2 buttons. So that's the second row. The button on the left. So go back down.
But I need to know the divide, okay?
Yep, so the button on the left there is the subtraction sign.
Okay.
And then right below that is the plus sign.
So the plus sign feels really big.
The plus sign is very,
Feels
very
real
long.
Really
it's
long.
very
Yes.
long, and it's right below the subtraction sign.
Okay.
Okay. And
then the equal sign was back in this row.
The equal sign
there.
was in the first section,
Right.
or the first column.
Okay.
And it is actually the very last button
Right.
on the last or the fourth row.
Okay.
So the equal sign actually sits right next to the plus sign, and it's divided by the rubber band. Okay. So, all right. So, in the very last section of the talking calculator, so in the rightmost column of the talking calculator, the only keys that you will need to know, so if you feel the rubber band, so that's section 1, 2, and 3. The only keys in this section that you will need to know are the on and off key. So right now you actually have your middle finger right on the on key. So it is the very last button in the very last row. So there are 4 rows in this section. The on button is the very last button in the 4th row.
Okay.
It is the rightmost button, and it's in the very corner of the talking calculator.
Okay.
Just to the left of that is a button that's significantly smaller, and that is the off button.
Oh, okay.
Those are the only buttons that you'll need to know in that section.
Okay.
Okay. So what we are going to do first is we're going to do some assisted calculating.
Okay.
And then I'm going to give you an assignment.
Okay.
And that is essentially going to assess your ability to perform calculations on your own.
Okay.
So the objectives in greater detail that I'm going to give you, and I'm going to break it up so that it's not so overwhelming all at once,
Okay.
is I'm going to have you turn the device on and off 3 times on your own. And then I'm going to have you perform 3 addition equations and 3 subtraction equations.
Okay.
Okay, but we'll split it up so that it's a little bit more sporadic, so you're not doing repetitive motions too much and you get bored. So we're first going to find the on key. So remember, it is moving from left to right. The talking calculator is divided into 3 columns or sections, whichever one's easier to conceptualize. And the on button is the very last button in the lower right-hand side of the talking calculator. Yep, and it is the bigger of the 2 buttons between the on and the off button. So you hit the on button and you'll hear 2 beeps. So now
it doesn't tell me that it's on.
It does not tell you what
that
it's on.
Okay.
The 2 beeps are an indication that the talking calculator is now on.
Okay.
Now I want you to move over to the off button and I want you to go up 2 buttons. Count 1, 2. Okay. Now that is no, that's not the button that I want you to find. I'm sorry, go back to the on button and then go up 1 button. So that is the all clear button.
Okay. So do you want me to do anything with that or no?
You can hit it.
All clear.
Okay.
All clear. So that is right above the on button.
Okay.
Okay. So I want you to move back over to the number pad. So remember, the talking calculator is divided into 3 sections. So I want you to find the number pad. That's the first column or the first section. And I want you to see if you can find for me the number 5.
Okay.
Okay. You can push it.
5.
Now, can you find the plus sign? It is in the second section. And remember that it is, if you go down, it is in the 3rd row. It's a long button. It sits right next to the equal sign that's divided by the rubber band. So if you go over to your left 1, that other really long button that you're feeling is essentially like the repeat button.
Okay.
So that is the plus sign. So can you push that? Now, can you find the number 3 for me? So go back over to the first section of the calculator, find the number 5 first. And then remember that the order of the rows go 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3.
Oh, so they go the opposite.
Yes.
So wait a minute. Let me find. Here's 5.
5. And then you go down 1 row.
So wait. So let me think. So if this is 5, 4 would be to the left. And then 3 would be here. No. So if you feel I'm sorry. Yeah, 3 is down below.
3 is down below. It's
So
reversed.
So here's
1.
so 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. So it's 1, 2, 3. Then so it's 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6.
If that
7,
helps
8,
you,
9. Okay,
memorize
okay.
it
1,
better
2, 3.
going
Okay.
and going that way.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So now we're going to clear all that out. So can you move back over to the 3rd section? Find the on button. Go up 1 button.
All clear.
There you go.
Okay.
All clear. Okay. Now let's practice a little bit more.
Okay.
So I want you to find the off button for me. It sits right to the left of the on button. Okay. Now turn it back on. Okay. Now I want you to go to the first column of the talking calculator, or the first section. Okay.
Okay.
Now I want you to find the number 1 for me.
Okay. So this is 5. So.
0.
Oh wait. Am I? Oh yeah. This has 4 columns. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So the first section has 4 columns.
Okay, yeah.
The second section has 3.
in the last section. Okay.
And the last section has 4.
So find the number you said 1.
1.
1.
Okay. Now find 2.
2.
Now find 3.
3.
Now find 4.
4.
5.
5.
6.
6.
7.
7.
8.
8.
9.
What was that? Not the 9, 7, 8. Did I go over?
That was the 9. Let's do the all clear.
All clear.
Okay. Now find the number 9.
9.
Okay.
All clear.
Now can you find the plus sign for me? Remember, it's in the
Yeah,
second
second
section.
okay.
Second section, the very last row on the left-hand side.
Plus.
There you go. Now find the minus. It's just above the plus.
Minus.
Okay. Now can you find the all clear button? So you want to first find the on button, and the all clear button's right
All
above
clear.
that. Okay. Now can you find the off button? Okay. Now can you turn it back on? Okay. So do you want to practice a little bit more, or do you think I can start giving you equations now? to put in?
Let's try the equations.
Want to try the equations? Okay. All right. So if you're ready, are you sure that you're absolutely ready? Because what I'm gonna start doing now is just evaluating this set objective that we listed at the start of the lesson.
Okay.
So that is to have you turn the calculator. Don't get nervous.
Okay.
On and off 3 times.
Okay.
And then input equations, essentially a total of 6 times, where you're
Okay.
doing 3 addition and 3 subtraction. Okay? Alrighty.
Okay.
So
let me remember again.
It
So
is a bit
this-
disorienting. Even I got a
this-
little bit disoriented, and
Okay,
I'm
this is
like
n-
visually looking at it.
This is numbers.
So the number pad
The number pad.
is the
And then-
farthest column or section to
Okay,
the left.
My command subtraction and additions is
Your
in the
function
second
keys are in the
keys sec-
second section.
And then on and off and clear is here. Okay, no,
Yes.
I think I'm ready.
You ready? Okay. All right. So here's what I want you to do, and I'm going to begin the evaluation.
Okay.
So first, I want you to turn the calculator on, then turn the calculator off. Just that for right now. Okay? Okay. Now, I want you to turn the calculator on again, and we are going to do 3 addition equations, okay? And I should hear the correct input, and I should also hear the correct output, okay? So here's your first addition equation. I want you to input for me 1 plus 2.
1 plus 2
Okay, and then the equals.
equals 3.
Good job. Okay, and then we'll hit the all clear.
All clear.
Now I want you to input for me 1 plus 5.
1
Let's see.
1
Oh, I didn't.
It's okay.
plus
And then 5.
5
And then equals.
equals 6.
Okay. Now I want you to find the all clear button.
All clear.
Awesome. Last one. 3 plus 6.
3 plus 6
And then equals.
equals 9.
Awesome. Okay. Now hit the all clear for me.
All clear.
Okay. Now I want you to turn the calculator off. Awesome. Good job. Alrighty, we are almost done.
Okay.
Ready? So now I want you to repeat that process for me, but we're going to do some subtraction. Okay?
Okay.
So first turn the calculator on. Awesome. So here's the first equation that I want you to input for me. 5 minus 1.
5
Remember that subtraction sign is just a,
minus
and then 1.
1
And equals.
equals 4.
Good job. Okay, now find the all clear. Just got 2 more.
All clear.
You're killing it. All right, I want you to do 7 minus 2.
7 minus
What was the number?
2.
2
And then equals.
equals 5.
Awesome. All right, find the all clear for me.
All clear.
Now the last one. Are you ready?
Okay.
Very last one. 6 minus 4.
6
Mm-hmm.
minus 4
And equals.
equals 2.
Okay. Now all clear.
All clear.
Turn the calculator off. And you are all done. Just hang
Ah.
tight.
Okay.
I'm going to just make some notes. Mhm. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable do you feel with navigating at least the function keys that I taught, as well as the number pad, as well as the on and off keys of the talking calculator now?
Definitely a 10.
Definitely a 10?
Definitely a
Okay.
10. I think I've mastered at least those elements.
Those elements,
very
right?
well.
Awesome. That was the objective of the lesson plan, so. Okay. All right.